In this third part, so remember I said that thankfully genetics plays a very small part in a disease. So whether it is cancer, whether it is Alzheimer's disease or any other disease, usually genetics have 5 to 10% contribution. 90% is sporadic. Sporadic means environmental thing. So 90% cancers are caused by the environment, okay? So that is why disease and the environment. So in this part, I will tell you many factors which lead to a disease, including the microbiome. How many of you have heard of microbiome? You guys have, many of you have heard of microbiome. So microbiome, let's come to microbiome when it comes. So see, in this one, it tells you that these are different kinds of cancers which are caused by the genetic problems, and these are environmental factors which lead to cancer. So the interesting thing is tobacco makes sense, right? Tobacco leads to cancer. So I'm not surprised 25 to 30% of cancers are due to tobacco. But see, diet has a very important role. So this is a very honest suggestion, that those of us who eat outside all the time, right, we are more prone to diseases, okay? So why? Because when you make food at home, you can control how much oil is added. You may control what are the things you are adding, right? All the ingredients. But when we are outside, one of the thing eating outside is that most of the places, right, they make it in bulk, right? And if you make it in bulk, it will go bad the next day. So it is a really non-profitable thing that it is going to go bad every day. So what they do, they add preservatives. And preservatives are extremely bad for us. Suppose you eat food from these, packaged food in tin boxes. They have huge amount of preservatives, and that's very bad for us. And I know for a fact that many restaurants, they add preservatives to their food so that it is good for the following day, and they can keep freeze thawing the same food again and again and serving it to the customers. So the diet is extremely important. If you are cautious about your diet, you know what, curing a disease is the best you can think about a disease. But what is better than curing a disease? Preventing a disease. And it is in our hand to prevent the disease, okay? If you take my honest opinion, two things: eat really healthy food, and second thing, which is equally important, is exercise. You guys don't have to specifically do exercise because you are students, so you're always running around, or you're always standing on your feet, or you're always working in your labs. So you don't have to go out of the way to do exercise because your whole day routine provides you with extensive exercise. But for people like us whose job is to sit in front of the computer all day, we have to do exercise. There is absolutely no way out for us. We have to do exercise. But if you guys can, if you think you can, just add some exercise in your routine, right? So that will really prevent it. Obesity, which is very common these days, especially in Western countries, that leads. Alcohol, very bad for us. And then infections. If you are infected by viruses can directly lead to cancer, okay? So then let's talk about the microbiota. So, long time ago, we used to think most of the bacteria are in the guts, but we have microbiome, different kinds of, these organisms which are in different parts of our body, and they can give rise to mental health issue, which is very common these days. They can give cardiovascular disease, of course cancer, metabolic disorders like diabetes, digestive health, and immune related diseases, okay? So these are some of the diet directly influences microbiota, which makes sense, right? You eat healthy food, proper probiotic thing, better microbiota. Antibiotics, medication also affect microbiota. Lifestyle, stress, all of these things. Circadian rhythm, sleep hours are not regular. that can give rise to cancer. Infections, definitely. Okay. So, environmental factors and cancer, and then so I'm going to discuss three things: environmental factors and cancer, human microbiome, and then combining these two things. Okay. So carcinogens. So so those who are chemistry students, right? So I was a chemistry student and I was a synthetic organic chemist. So we used to, our job was to synthesize compounds every day and purify it every day, right? Running columns all the time. So the kind of compounds we were making, the most common thing we were using those days was benzene with ethyl acetate or ether or something, but benzene was the main thing we were using to purify our compounds, and benzene is a carcinogen. Okay, and in those days we were not wearing gloves, so basically our hands were always drenched with benzene, but we did not, we knew at that time also it was a carcinogen, but when you are young you think you are immune to all diseases, so we thought, yeah, we are exposed to benzene, we are not going to get cancer. Basically, we all think that way, right? But it is a carcinogen. Tobacco, you're exposed to smoke, you're inhaling carcinogen, right? So that tobacco smoke, leading cause of lung cancer and other cancer. You will be surprised to know second-hand smoke is more dangerous than the person who is actually smoking the cigarette. So if you go and sit in the area where other people are smoking, you are really exposing yourself to cancer, okay? Chemicals, air pollution, best example is Delhi these days, right? You don't have to go far. Okay, I have heard firsthand from people that you cannot walk in Delhi because you start like after walking for half a mile or half a kilometer, you are so tired because you don't have any energy because of this thing. During lunch, other faculty members were saying that young kids in Delhi, like really young kids, their lungs are totally black from inside because of all the pollution in Delhi. So air pollution, I mean, if you are living in Delhi, you cannot do much, okay? But if you can avoid pollution in your life, you do avoid pollution. I am from Kanpur, right, originally. And in Kanpur, we have a home, and it was in a very nice area of Kanpur, but every evening, if you go out, my eyes used to water because next to our area, there was this big cotton industrial plant, and all the smoke would come out, and I actually never saw the smoke, but there was so much smoke in the atmosphere that our eyes used to water all the time. You could not take a walk, evening walk there because it was so polluted at that time. So now it is a lot worse with a lot more cars, right? So at least this campus is away from, first of all, Indore is a very, very, very clean city. Second thing, you guys are very far away from the industry. So as long as you are in a clean environment, a relatively clean environment, that is good for you. Okay. Radiation, exposure to ultraviolet light is a primary cause of skin cancer. Okay. Infections, this is this is something one has to avoid. Certain infectious agents such as HPV or Helicobacter pylori are linked to specific cancers. I know of a person who went to some countries and he developed liver cancer. Okay, as soon as he got back, and my guess is that he's a very healthy person, otherwise exercises, eats extremely well, very cautious about everything, goes out of his way, and this is my thinking that he probably got infected by some virus because liver cancer is caused by infections also. Okay, so these are some of the cancers which are caused by environmental carcinogens. Okay, infection and cancer, so many cancers are caused by that. Lymphoma, hepatocellular carcinoma, this guy has SCC. Okay, so many of these carcinoma are caused by infections. Okay, lifestyle choices. So diet, if your diet is healthy, that really helps. Drinking alcohol really leads to cancer. These days, obesity is becoming a problem because our lifestyle is like that, right? So that obviously physical activity, more physical activity, less chance of getting cancer. Alcohol consumption. So obesity can give rise to many cancers. Okay, so especially for people like us who are sitting in front of the computer most of the day, we have to go out of the way to exercise and get a reason to get up, like, really often. Okay, so these are tobacco smoking, excess body weight, alcohol, infection, physical inactivity, all are leading cause for cancer. This is the same thing I'm writing here, the percentage of all different kinds of cancer. Tobacco, huge. Lung cancer is the highest percentage cancer, like the number one in the list, because either people smoke or they're getting exposed to smoke, or they're getting exposed to real bad environmental pollution, right? So again, all of these things, and you just see all different kind of things. So, and chemical and environmental factors, radiation, alcohol consumption, industrial chemicals, like I was saying in Kanpur, right? Asbestos. Now people are not using asbestos, but even my lab had asbestos sheets at that time. We didn't know how bad it was. I hated it because this actually happened to me. So I would make the compound, and at the end of the day, which was actually very late in night, invariably I would drop the vial where I had done the purified compound, and it used to get absorbed in asbestos. And I would see my compound actually getting disappear in front of my eye, and there was no way I could recover it because it just absorbs it. And I hated asbestos for that reason. That time I did not know at all that it was, bad for my health. Okay. So that was environmental factors. Now let's go to human microbiome. So this is that polymorphic myobiome. So let's see what exactly it is. So like I said, initially we thought it was just the gut. It is not only the gut. It is present in the skin, gut, lung, oral, our mouth, filled with different kinds of this thing. And this microbiome, look at it, everywhere in the body, nose, mouth, lungs, stomach, colon, sexual organs, skin. And all of these things, they affect the microbiome. So it is actually true that our microbiome can save us from any disease, or our microbiome can push us towards a disease. It is that powerful. Like, these guys have so much power in their hands. Okay, we are one, but they are trillions and trillions in each of our body. Okay, so what are the factors which, here I'm just focusing on gut microbiota. So there are a lot of factors: lifestyle, hygiene, exercise, stress, diet, environmental factors. They affect the microbiota. You guys are going to get, Professor Venkatesh will send you the PDF file of all of these things. Okay, so you will get everything. Okay, immune system modulation, signaling molecules. This microbiota changes. We take the medicines, and it affects the medicines in our body. This gut microbiota. They change the harmonic and metabolic interactions. They can prevent diabetes, they can cause diabetes. Okay, so this is just different kinds of microbiota that is present in human body. These are the microbiota. It's not only bacteria, there are viruses also. There are protozoa, parasites, fungi. Okay. So human microbiota includes trillions of microbes in gut, skin, lungs, and influences immunity, metabolism, inflammation, and disease risk. And many times we say deregulation. Something is not regulated properly is deregulation, right? So we call it dysbiosis, imbalance associated with infection, cancer. So treating microbiota can really help us. Okay. So polymorphic microbes include bacteria, 97% of bacteria. They also include fungi and viruses, which symbiotically associate with the human body and have a profound impact on cancer pathogenesis. Okay, so they play a key role in cancer. They can be positive or negative for the cancer. Okay, and gastrointestinal tract are the most extensively characterized. Okay, so so human body, these are some of the numbers just to give you an idea how many are there in our body. So we think that we have about 4 into 10 to the power 13 microorganisms with a cumulative microbial genome of metagenome exceeding the human genome by a factor of 100. What it means is that, like I said, we have 3 billion base pairs, right? And we used to think before the human genome was mapped, we used to think that our body we have 100,000 genes. But when the human genome was mapped, we realized we have 20 to 25,000 genes only. But if you take the DNA of all the microbiomes in our body, if you combine all of them, it's more than 100 times of human genome. So you can imagine how much they are influencing our life, these microbes there. Okay, so they are 97%, over 97 of the microbiome are the bacteria in the colon, and this is the biggest friend or foe in our body. Okay, and there are 10 to the power 12 distinct microbial species on earth. Only 11 are identified as direct human carcinogens. For example, some strains of E. coli can produce a DNA alkylator which can lead to cancer. Okay, so many microbes are complicit. What that means is that alone they can neither cause cancer nor they can prevent it, but they can influence the decision whether a cancer develops or it doesn't develop. Okay, and furthermore, bacteria may work synergistically in a driver-passenger relationship. So what that means is that, have you ever heard of a driver oncogene? So what happens is that, suppose there is cancer, right? So there may be 10 things which are going wrong in a particular cancer, but there are always driver genes. Driver genes means these are the guys which actually drive the cancer. Other people are just helpers. Either they will help a little bit, and if you remove the helper, it's not going to make that big of a difference. But if you identify the driver of a disease, you can actually treat a disease. Okay, so some of them can be driver, but most of them are passengers, like they will do something here and there. Okay, so it says the gut microbiome has shown to have a broad effect on immune system, and if you control the immune system, you basically control the disease. Okay, so this is few of the things which are caused by gut dysbiosis. So if the gut microbiome is bad, it can lead to cardiovascular diseases. It can lead to hardening of arteries. Okay, Parkinson's disease. Imagine these brain diseases, they are controlled by this microbiome in the gut. Okay, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, depression, anxiety, pain, stress, hypothyroidism, all kinds of these arthritis, this cachexia. This is a very common thing in bones become extremely frail. The person keeps on losing weight. All of these things can, inflammatory bowel disease, okay, colitis, diabetes. These are all called by gut dysbiosis. It can lead to cancer, gut dysfunction, immunosuppression. I have told you enough things. So basically, they have a huge impact on our body, the microbiome. Okay, and it is in our hands to keep it healthy or in a bad situation. So they modulate the immune system, they affect the metabolism, they control cancer. And you know, when there is a tumor, so this is something you might not know, and I'm going to tell you in details. So suppose there is a tumor, the environment around the tumor is also very important. So tumor is not that, like, you know, you have the cells and a tumor just grows here. It's not like that. The microenvironment of the tumor, so your microenvironment are your friends, right, or your teachers, right, the people who directly interact with you, or your family, right, they are your microenvironment. So the tumor microenvironment is very special. So what is there in the tumor microenvironment? So I'll give you an example of pancreatic cancer. Okay, so somebody was asking me that how easy it is to diagnose a cancer. So when we were having lunch, one faculty said that, if you just have a stomach ache, and what if it is cancer? But we all get stomach ache every now and then, and we don't run to the doctor because we think it is cancer. So how easy it is to know a cancer? So the answer is that some cancer can be diagnosed at a very early stage. They make this sound, I am not well, I am not well, and you can find it at a very early stage. But there are some cancers which are not found until they are metastatic. And one of the most common cancer, the worst cancer, not the common cancer, the worst cancer is pancreatic cancer. So pancreatic cancer is hardly ever diagnosed at stage 1, 2 or 3. The last stage is stage 4, and most of the cases it's diagnosed as stage 4 because it makes no sound. It is like a silent killer. Okay, so the most famous people who had pancreatic cancer and died, Steve Jobs, we all know, we all have iPhones. Steve Jobs had pancreatic cancer. Actress Nargis, right? Right? Not of your time, not even of my time, but she died of pancreatic cancer. Okay, so it's a very bad disease. So if you go to the biology of pancreatic cancer, this is the tumor, right? So if the tumor is this big, pancreas itself is not a huge organ, right? If the tumor is this big, huge amount, like as big as my hands, these fibrous tissues here are protecting that tumor there. And these big fibrous tissues, they are like the mother nurturing cells. So these huge fibrous tissues are protecting that tumor there, completely protecting, providing it with nutrients, oxygen, everything. And if you give the drug can never reach this tumor because this huge fibrous, that's a microenvironment. Okay, microenvironment could be non-fibrous, but what they will do, they will have a lot of acid around it. So immune cells cannot come, or they will secrete factors that if immune cells come, they die, or they become ineffective, or they will attract those kind of things which promote the tumor. So they will bring all the friends to the tumor in the thing. So that's called the microenvironment. Okay, so that microenvironment is very important. So these microbiomes, they are also present near the tumor, and they can control the tumor growth there. They can support it, or if they are good, they can actually destroy the tumor also. Okay. So this is just few kinds of microbiome which I have already told you about. Okay. So if it is favorable gut bacteria, then they can kill the tumor. If it is unfavorable, they will lead to the growth of the tumor. Okay. So this is again same thing. They can control the immune system, they can affect the metabolism. And they also decide if you take the drug. So if two people have identical cancer, exactly same thing. One person will respond to therapy, the other person will not respond to therapy because of the microbiome. Because they will decide whether the person responds to the therapy. So it's really important. So last part is that how we connect the environment to microbiome and cancer. So now we look at all the three things together. So microbiome, here I am talking about the breast microbiome. So it is affected by age, by immunity, by gender, by metabolism. It is also affected by the genetic profile of that person. Okay, environment, psychological stress, medication, lifestyle, exercise or no exercise. All of these things actually control. And factors and lifestyle is in our hand to control. We can change our lifestyle. We can change the environmental conditions. We cannot change our genetics, right? But we can change the environment. Okay, so these are all the factors which actually affect the microbiota. Okay. So this is, they are saying that diet and lifestyle changes, drinks really bad. If you're eating healthy food, right, this is not healthy food, these are healthy food, it will affect the gut biota. This will prevent, exercise will prevent, these will promote bad things. Vaccines and probiotics can help, right? So and now I'm going to tell you about few ways to treat the microbiota. So you can actually take probiotics. So sometimes you get yogurt which are very rich in healthy bacteria, right? So those are beneficial microbiomes, prebiotics, fibers that promote beneficial bacteria. You can combine prebiotics with probiotics. If you eat high fiber plant-based diets, which promotes good microbiome. So actually now, so when I first went to US, most of the people used to eat non-vegetarian food. But now worldwide, people are eating more and more vegetarian food because overall they are much healthier food. Okay, so more plant-based food usually leads to healthier microbiota. Okay, but if somebody is eating fish, fish are generally considered extremely beneficial. Okay. Okay, so this is one of the way to treat the microbiota. Okay, so this is fecal microbiota transplant. So it doesn't sound very fun job to do, but this is one way to treat the microbiota. So transfer the screen stool from healthy donor to patient, because the stool of a healthy person will have better microbiota. So you transfer it to the patient. So that can cure, that has high cure rates, and it is used in many different kinds of, it can improve metabolic syndrome, cancer immunotherapy response is much better. Okay, and there are also drugs which improve microbiota. So there are microbial metabolites drugs, there are engineered bacteria which can deliver therapeutic molecules. So you can make bacteria which will make the actual drug for you inside the body. So you can deliver those bacteria and they will deliver the therapeutics there. Okay, you can actually make CRISPR modified antimicrobials and deliver it. Okay, and we'll talk about biomarkers later on. So here are few applications. So to improve the gut microbiota, so you can give vaccination against the bad guys, the bad microbiota. Do you know what is an antigen? Do you guys know what is an antigen? Some of you know, not all of you, right? So antigen, so when antibody is formed in our body, antibody is what? Antibody is against the foreign particles. So the thing that they bind, the part of the foreign particle they bind, that's called antigen. Antigen is the one which will trigger the immune response. So if you take the bad microbiome antigens and you can make a vaccine that will kill those bad bacteria or viruses. Okay, you can even take that and put it inside the tumor, so the bad microbiome dies in the tumor. You can actually give it systematically, orally, microbials. You can give good, like we take probiotics, right? You can give that orally. Okay, to kill the bad ones, you take antibiotics, narrow spectrum. You don't want to kill all the good ones. You only want to kill the bad ones. This is a very common thing. You give it the stool kind of thing, like you give it back to the patient. High fiber diet. I see everyone's face. I feel the same way. I can see it in your face, like, but it is very effective, okay? And high fiber diet, which is healthy thing, right? That really helps. All right, so this is again the same thing is written here, okay? It will tell you in details exactly how it is transferred, okay?